has been trying to prevent me from doing this live today. I've been trying to do this for quite a while now, for the past few hours, and we've been getting cut. So I don't know. I'm testing now to see if I'll be able to do this and not have any problems with getting cut, not have any problems with connectivity. Okay, so we seem to be okay. It seems to be working. So let's see if we will be able to do the live, because it's Friday night and we are that crew of people that are not asleep, and we have not gone out because some of us are too old for that whole thing of going out on a Friday night. So all right, and welcome. Today we are going to be talking about narcissism versus the matrix. Okay, so what we are really doing is we are comparing the parallels between the narcissistic force, the narcissistic energy, and the system that we are living in, which we of course call it the matrix. Those of us that are into conspiracies, if you want to call them that, conspiracy theories, and those of us that exist outside of the box. All right, the truth seekers, the truth tellers, and all of that. So on one end we've got the narcissistic force, the narcissistic energy, the spirit of narcissism, and then on another end we have the matrix. And so what we are doing now is we are comparing the parallels between these two forces, these two things. So one is a system, another one is a force or a stream of consciousness. In my assessment, this is the same thing. All right. My assessment tells me that this is precisely the same thing. You cannot separate the two. It's not like, you are dealing with something else and then from time to time you see traits of the other one. No, it's literally the same thing. All right. I call it the narcissistic dark matrix, even. I'd rather call it the narcissistic dark matrix because I'm trying to emphasize the fact that the matrix is narcissistic by nature. The matrix is the main narcissistic force that is actually producing narcissism. It's manufacturing and breeding narcissism in this world. All right, so let's look at, I've got 7 points here, but you are welcome. Hello. Let me just quickly greet all of you, and then we can just quickly look at those 7 points that I've jotted down here. XXX, ooh, okay. Camila Prost, Padme, hello, hi, and welcome. So, welcome to all of you. 7 points here. So we are comparing narcissism and the matrix, isn't it? So in what way is the matrix showing up as a narcissist in our lives? So let's first understand the matrix. Of course, we understand the matrix from the movie The Matrix, and if you haven't watched The Matrix, I don't know what to say to you. Okay. Because definitely by now we should have all watched it. And The Matrix, we know it's that movie that indicates that it's sort of, people will often say that The Matrix is a documentary. And the reason why they will say that is because that movie portrays a certain system that is at work in the world, which is pretty much similar to the very same system, if not the same, if it's not really the same system that is at work in this very same world that we are living in. And so according to the movie The Matrix, the system that was in charge of that particular world in that movie was a system made up of artificial intelligence robots. And in our world, we could pretty much say, it's maybe a spiritual thing, it's a psychological thing, it's a systematic thing, it's a government thing. But if you dig a little bit deeper, you'll see that it's still also artificial intelligence as well. It's still AI in some shape or form. It's the worst of the worst aspect of it. You understand? So, um, the matrix is basically a system of control. That's really what it is. But it's a narcissistic system of control. And if you understand narcissism, then you will understand that it is an evil force. If we want to make reference to religious terms, we would say it's a satanic force, it's a demonic force of control. And it literally imprisons, it enslaves, it abuses, it's horrible, it destroys, it's very, very destructive. All right. So that's what the matrix is. And that's the system that we are operating under. And I don't believe that many of us understood the level at which this system is cruel. When we were watching that movie, The Matrix, when it first came out around the early 2000s, I think we looked at the movie and it was like, wow, that's so profound, and we got excited. But we never thought that at any point in time we would actually grappling with the reality of the fact that indeed we are actually in a matrix system, and it is just as cruel and as horrible as that particular system that we were watching unfold in that movie. All right, so let's look at those 7 points, because now we're going to be exploring how this matrix system is narcissistic. We know it is, but we're just going to be, chit-chatting about that because, it's Friday night and we are here. So the first thing, of course, that the narcissist does when they come across you is love bombing, isn't it? And we can all remember, and if we don't remember, we remember our grandparents. And even in history, when they tell us about the wars that have occurred in the previous decades, and, like, for example, World War One, World War Two, and everything. Initially, when this particular generation, or this particular group of people, or this civilization, our civilization, when it started out, around the, early 1900s, late 1800s, somewhere there, that's when, we see all these wars starting to pop up and all of that. When these things were happening, the people that were in charge were love bombing people at that time, while simultaneously doing a whole lot of horrible things on the side, of course. But the love bomb was always, oh, we are here now, and we are coming out of a dark era. We are coming out of the dark ages, and we are entering into a new age, isn't it? And little did we know that they were actually talking about the new world order. And they were promising us how that, they're going to introduce a whole lot of wonderful things. We are industrializing, isn't it? And things are going to be so much better. You are no longer going to live in poverty. You're no longer going to be suffering. Things are going to be so much better for humanity. We are going to make things better and better for everyone. We are going to make the world a better place for humanity to inhabit. This has always been the promise that has been sold to humanity ever since, our civilization started, basically. And of course, as you know, the narcissist will only ever give you wonderful promises. If you've ever been with a narcissist, you know that they will promise you the moon, the stars, the sky. They will promise you a whole lot of things that they're going to do for you. All right. And they will future fake. They will even envision, how beautiful it's going to be once you and them are living in that, future that is really only an illusion and will never ever become a reality. And then you will buy into it, but it will never materialize. And this is what the system has sold to humanity. They introduced democracy. They introduced the economic system, the monetary system. They introduced the banking system, isn't it? And their inflations and their loans and their interest and their fiat money and everything. And they always the promise was always it's going to be better. It's going to make things better. You understand? You are not going to suffer. Once we, align to this particular way of doing things, things are going to get better. You understand? It's going to save you from something horrible that would have otherwise happened to you. And yet, here we almost 300 years later. Here we are. And things have only gotten worse. Things have gotten worse and worse and worse over time, to a point where it's like we are now all beginning to ask ourselves, really, like, it's 2025. We are supposed to be like literally at the peak of civilization right now. We're supposed to be at the peak of, the modern world. We're supposed to be, I don't know, but definitely not where we are right now. You understand? So, how did we get here? We were love bombed by the narcissistic system. And of course, our leaders are representatives of of that narcissistic system. You understand? So that's the love bombing part. All right. I remember, being someone that is here in South Africa. I'm from South Africa. I'm talking to you from South Africa, and we had this situation where we used to have a subsistent economy. We used to we used to live in apartheid. I was born during apartheid, but we lived in our little villages, and so we had big yards in the villages, and we had our own little sort of like farms, mini farms in our backyards. So we planted corn. We had an orchard, a mini orchard. Okay, so we had pears, we had apples, we had peaches, we had papaya, we had bananas, we had pineapples, we had berries. Um, we had so many things, and we also had vegetables, of course. As I said, we had corn and we had pumpkin, spinach, and a whole lot of things. So we were self, sustaining, basically. And I remember a time when, this promise of modernization started coming through, after we were sort of like liberated, after we were free and apartheid was abolished. Then they started promising us this whole thing of, okay, and it was very subtle. It wasn't like, someone was busy making a whole lot of speeches about it and saying people should get rid of their farms or anything like that. It was more like, um, you know, um, you don't have to, you don't really need to have your own little, backyard farm. And, you don't need to have your own things going on there, your own little garden. Okay. What you need to do is, spend just a little bit of money and get your things from the supermarket. Be civilized, be modernized. There was even a mini drought that we found ourselves dealing with, and which is one of the things that pushed people to end up having to, instead of planting their own little gardens, they ended up having to go to the shops and buy food, buy fruits and vegetables instead of planting them. And when it started out, remember, this is a love bombing situation. When it's, as long as people still had their own little backyard gardens, the fruits and vegetables, even the meat itself, because people also had their own little cows, 2 or 3 cows in the backyard there. They had goats and sheep and pigs. As long as people had their own little things going on, then the things at the supermarkets were always cheap. You could buy spinach for like 1 rand. 1 rand is a few cents in dollars. You understand? So it was very, very little money that we were spending on these things. Things were very, very affordable. 5 rands would get you a pack of apples. You understand? So we were really, right now, these things that I'm talking about, spinach is, 15 times that amount now. It's 15 rands. Whereas previously, when it started out, it was about 1 rand. And then a pack of apples right now is about 40 to 50 rands. Whereas initially, when it started out, it was about 5 rands. You understand? And this is because right now we don't have the our own little backyard gardens anymore. So it's easier for them to can charge us those exorbitant prices. You understand? But initially, it was, the what was being sold to us was, we are modernizing. You don't have to be, busy burning yourself in the sun. And we bought into it, we bought into it. You don't have to burn yourself busy planting your own little garden and doing all of those things. Just go to the supermarket and buy things. And that's what we did because we thought they were cheap. We didn't realize that we were being enticed, we were being lured in, we were being love bombed. We were not realizing that until today, when now the farms are no longer there. We don't remember how to do these things anymore. And the prices are crazy. You understand? So they have literally now, they have taken away that independence that we used to have. And it wasn't like, someone forced it upon us in some strange way. No, it happened very subtly and very gradually. But there was a love bomb, and that love bomb came in the form of very good prices. You understand? Which are no longer anywhere to be found now. Okay. So, and what we are seeing at the moment is that farmers in South Africa are being attacked. And that's another story for another time, because really the people who are really attacking the farms are not the people that we are being told are the ones that are attacking the farmers. But basically, one of the reasons why this thing is happening, it's highly likely that it has to do with the fact that, as long as we have farmers, that means we've got a lot of availability of meat and, produce, fresh produce. So if we can get rid of farmers, then that means the production of food is becoming centralized. You understand? It's owned by a select few, and they get to control the prices even more. And that could very much be the agenda of a narcissistic system. You understand? So let's look at the second point there. What does the narcissistic matrix do? The narcissistic matrix, and narcissist in general, they will isolate you. All right. They will definitely isolate you from your source of support. They will isolate you from anything and everything that will enable you to either be able to see through them, or to, be able to rescue you from the clutches of the narcissistic force or the narcissist in your life. So here's my theory. I spoke yesterday when I did the live that I did yesterday. I spoke about the ice walls, Antarctica. And I said, this is my theory, of course. And I'm not saying, this is the ultimate truth and everything. That's my theory. I don't know what I don't know. And tomorrow I could change it. Okay. But this is my take for now, which is we've got an ice wall around this known lands that we know of, this few little continents that we know of here. Okay. And this ice wall, the reason why there is an Antarctica treaty, it is to keep us locked in within the walls. So basically, it's like a prison type of a system, or a prison type of a situation. And I know this is not nice. No one wants to hear this, because to the most part, a lot of people would rather bury their heads in the sand, because it's safer that way. You understand? But for me personally, I'm those people that I do go there. So, and that's the theory that I have, is that the reason why people who are at war with each other have been able to come into agreement with regards to keeping us away from Antarctica is because they do not want us to come out of the prison that we are in. And so, which means, as much as, a lot of people will say, the soul trap community will tell you that this world that we are living in is a prison planet. That's what they call it. And my take is that it's possible that this could be literally a geographical prison as well. You understand? We could literally actually be locked in this particular space, in this particular part of the planet. You understand? It's very much possible that we have, an ice wall around us that is meant to keep us in, and then we are not allowed to go out because we are prisoners in this particular space geographically. You understand? And why am I going that far in my thoughts? Because if you understand narcissism, then you understand that such kind of a thing is possible with them. With narcissists, all kinds of evils are possible. You understand? Because a narcissist wants ultimate control. And a narcissist wants to make sure that once they have you under their control, you are not able to be free. A relationship with a narcissist is a trap, is a prison. Everyone that has been in a relationship with a narcissist, they'll tell you that it was nothing but a prison. So if we are operating in a narcissistic matrix, then that means we are in some kind of a prison. And it wouldn't be too far-fetched to also assume or, theorize that we could be in a geographical prison as well. You understand? Because the narcissist does not want you to be free. Can you imagine if, it's highly, highly possible that if we were to go out of, beyond Antarctica, beyond the ice walls, if we were to get permission to go beyond this particular space of land that we are limited to only being able to travel in, what if there are other lands out there? Lands that are, for example, the people that existed in this particular realm, the ones that we call Tartarians, people that build these big buildings, the cathedrals and these wonderful buildings that we have all witnessed and we all marvel at, this technologically and energetically advanced type of structures. And, what if those people went outside of the ice rings and they went into some other places there and they established, new worlds for themselves or other worlds for themselves? What if there are a whole lot of beings there? Because as far as we can see, historically, even though they refuse to tell us such kind of things, but when we look at the records, we can see that there were a whole lot of other beings that existed in this realm that are different from us as well. And many of them were benevolent because we can see based on the world that they had created. So what if those beings are still existent? They are just outside of our realm. And the realm beyond this one is beyond the ice walls. And what if the reason why they are preventing us from going there is because they know as soon as we go out, we step out of the ice walls, our memories begin to return. We begin to see the reality of this world and this realm that we are occupying. We begin to get in touch and in contact with people that are able, or beings that are able to help us and empower us to experience our freedom to a point whereby chances are we probably would never even want to come back here. What if that's why they are actually keeping us here? Because let's face it, you cannot expect that these people would keep us here for our own protection. Since when would a narcissist do anything to try and protect you? Look at how they are treating us here right now. So if they are as abusive as they are towards us right now, destroying us, subjecting us to poverty, inflation, illnesses, and a whole lot of strange things, wars, and all sorts of traumas. If they are doing this to us right now, then what is it that they would be trying to protect us from? Because they've already exposed us to all of that here in this realm. They're not trying to protect us from anything. They are hiding something from us. What is it that they are hiding? Is it possible that they are hiding our freedom from us? Is it possible that they are hiding our identity from us? Is it possible that they are hiding our kindred spirits from us beyond the ice rings? Why is it so important that of all the things that these people cannot agree on this one particular thing, they are able to agree on? When you look into the soul trap community, they will tell you about the fact that this is a lushing farm. This is a farm where souls are caught and captured and then forced to be fed upon, harvested. That sounds like narcissistic supply to me. That's the stuff of the narcissist. Is this the realm of demonic spirits that feed upon souls of sentient beings? So one thing that I know for a fact is that narcissists will definitely isolate you from anything that will enable you to be empowered and independent and to be set free from it. All right, narcissists will do that. Narcissists will make sure that they will keep you in a state of a prison type of a situation so that you are not able to escape them. And that's what it sounds like is happening where this whole ice ring is concerned. All right. And I'm sure there are a whole lot of other ways in which we are still feeling very, isolated and trapped. We are isolated from nature, we are isolated from reality, we are isolated from everything, anything and everything. We are isolated from the truth of who we are. You understand? So, this is how narcissists operate, and this is precisely how this system operates as well. Number three, what do narcissists do that is similar to how the matrix operate? Narcissists distort and rearrange reality. All right. And this is precisely what the matrix does. Okay. This is precisely what the matrix does. They will change the past. Have you ever been with a narcissist? Have you ever, dealt with a narcissist? Because you will have an encounter with a narcissist, like, let's say today, you and the narcissist go somewhere and you do certain things and you engage in certain activities, and then 3 days later, you are talking about the very same experience that you had 3 days ago. The narcissist will be telling a completely different story about what happened in that instance than what really happened. And they will be forcing you to accept their narrative, their perspective of whatever it is that has happened there. Because the narcissist is never in touch with reality. The narcissist is ever at war with reality. And so is the narcissistic matrix. And so the narcissistic matrix has ever since, for the past 200 years or so, they've been giving us some kind of a funny history, which we are now waking up to realize there's no way that this history that these people are giving us, I don't know where it happened. I don't know which part of the world are they talking about, but definitely this is not in line with the history that is showing itself. Because why are you not telling us the truth about these buildings? Why are you hiding millions and millions of notes, of books and records in the Vatican? Why are you hiding these things? Why are you preventing us? That's that isolation once again. Why are you preventing us from accessing the archives that could tell us the truth about who we are and what is happening in this world? Why are you controlling information? Why are you hiding and keeping away artifacts about our past in the British Museum? Why are you hiding these things from us? Is it because you want to distort our reality? Why are you chipping off noses of old statues? Why are you chipping off their hands? Are you trying to distort our reality? Are you selling us a narrative about where we come from? What happened in our past? Do you understand how painful it is to wake up one day, your memory has been erased, you don't know who you are, you don't know where you come from, and someone just comes and literally feeds you a whole lot of lies. And then they're busy looking at you with those wide eyes to check if you are really buying into it. And meanwhile, they've got that evil smug on their faces because they're enjoying the fact that you are buying into the lie. They changed our past. They changed our history. We know because the maps, they tell a different story. The old maps tell a different story about what this planet really is. And then, of course, the buildings which they've been trying to destroy for so long, they tell a different story because there's no way that the people that they say have built these buildings are the ones that really build the buildings. We know there's technology. We know that we're not coming from the dark ages when these people came about with their new world order. We know that we were not coming from the dark ages. We know very well that we were coming from a very, very advanced age. We were not modernizing. We were not becoming better. We were disintegrating. We were decaying. We were descending into hell and chaos. That's what was happening. Because there's no way that in the Middle Ages, when all you are doing is using a feather to write notes and letters and things like that, and you need someone to ride on a horse to go all the way across the country to deliver a message. There's no way that that kind of an environment, people will be building the kind of buildings that these people have built. And we all know about all the technology that they have hidden from the past. There's no way that those people would be people from the Middle Ages. They will distort your reality. Narcissists do that. And so does the Matrix. And it's so interesting, the narcissists that I have had conversations with regards to this whole thing of the past, Tateria, a little bit of touching on them a little bit. All of them have resisted this kind of things, this kind of conversations. All of them, they were like, oh, they had some kind of a resistance towards, because they would rather hold on to this other reality. They would rather hold on to the reality that no, what the system, what the matrix is telling us is correct. But why would narcissists want to hold on to the narrative that the matrix is giving us? Because they are one with the matrix. They are products of the matrix. I wouldn't be surprised one day if we were to wake up and find out that narcissists are literally like manufactured beings or people or whatever by the matrix, that there's some kind of manufacturing plant somewhere somehow that we don't know about, where narcissists are being bred. You understand? I wouldn't be surprised. Or maybe, when this whole system started, this new world order started, they just came and rolled them in a whole lot of trains. They just brought them in, cloned beings or whatever it is that they are. And then they came in and they infiltrated humanity like that. But definitely, narcissists are one with the system. It's almost as if they and the system, they don't need to even like communicate with each other or reason with each other. No, they when an army general just sends out instructions, right then the soldiers immediately respond. That's how it is with narcissists and the matrix. They are so aligned, it's uncanny. They change timelines. Why are we having 12 months when we are supposed to be having 13 months? Because month it's the moon. It talks about the moon. So we are supposed to be following the moon. Why are we having 12 months instead of 13 in a year? Because if we were going to use the calendar of the moon, then we are supposed to at least be having 13. And of course, if that's the case, then definitely that means this year that we are in is not even correct. And of course, we know about the stories that have to do with the fact that there's a group of people that believe that this previous civilization was the millennial reign of Christ. All right. And the way I see it, because I really do believe that religions have been distorted in a very, very big way. The way I see it is that even that whole millennial of reign of Christ, even if that's the case, whatever it is that was happening then, it's not anything that we may be able to understand, because once again, the information that has been brought to us has been highly distorted. So this whole thing of Christ, who he really was, and a whole lot of things like that, it's like, yeah, there's a whole lot of things about that whole situation that is most likely so distorted that if we were to find ourselves back in time in that particular era, if there was a millennial reign of Christ, we would probably, be wondering, is this a Christian community or what? You understand? Because the way that it looks like there was an energetically advanced civilization, this previous civilization. You understand? It looks like the way that people operated, they operated differently. So that whole, Christ force, it seems to have been operating completely different. It's not the way that it has been painted in the Christian religion. Not precisely, not exactly like that. You understand? So there's something else that is very spiritual, very energetic, very slightly, outside of the box of religion that was happening there. You understand? But I am not disputing the fact that it's possible, because we've seen statues that definitely do look like, Jesus Christ or Yeshua. or Yehusha. We've seen those statues, but we've also seen statues that have to do with, the Hindu gods, the Hindu deities as well, and everything from the previous dispensation and previous. That's why I'm saying to you that it looks like there's a whole lot of things that were happening in that previous dispensation than meets the eye. So anything is possible. So I'm not going to dispute anything in that regard, but definitely the timelines have been changed, and we are really, we don't know which year we are in. But narcissists will do that. Narcissists will tell you, no, this thing didn't happen yesterday, it happened 2 days ago, deliberately. And then once again, they'll be looking at you to check if you are really buying into their lies. And then if you are buying into their lies, there'll be a smirk. They'll have that smirk in their face, because it's like, I got away with it. And this is precisely what this narcissistic matrix is doing to us. Every day when we are busy, reciting and reiterating their programs that they have installed in us about the Middle Ages, about this and that, and King whoever, and all these king whoever's that they're talking about, we don't know if they even really existed, or if they are even who we are being told they are. Because one thing that we know, the people that are in charge of this new world order are thieves. That's the reality of the situation. These people are thieves. These people, they found things as they are, and they just hijacked the whole thing. And not only did they hijack, but they hijacked and destroyed it. Narcissists will distort your identity about who you are. They will literally keep hammering into your mind a distorted version of who you are, by the way that they treat you, the way that they behave, the things that they say, the way that they carry themselves, and the way that they, conduct themselves towards you. They will try and distort your identity. And the system is doing precisely that, has reduced us to a shell of what it means to be a spirit man. We are so disconnected because of all this, technology, artificial technology, and everything else, all the things that they keep pumping into us, and all the indoctrination. Just today I was looking at a video here on TikTok, and the lady was showing a book. I think it was a gentleman, actually. They were showing a book about the previous dispensation, or the early 1900s type of a book. It's some kind of an it wasn't an atlas, but it. And then the name of the book was Indoctrination of the Globe Earth, or something like that. Indoctrination of the Globe Earth. Why does it have to be an indoctrination? And it's an old book from, I think it was 18 or 1900s, early 1900s, but somewhere there. It could have been even older than that. But this book was talking about indoctrinating people about the new earth. And it was even talking about problems that they might have to face when it comes to indoctrinating people with this new concept about the earth is a globe. So, and that's precisely what happens, in a narcissistic system. You get indoctrinated with a whole lot of concepts that have nothing to do with reality. And then you have to buy into them. Because if you don't buy into them, then there's a whole lot of things, that get to happen to you. We all know what happens to you when you don't agree with the system. When you don't agree or don't align yourself to the lies and the distortions and the illusions of narcissists, there's some kind of a retaliation, pushback that always comes at you. This is one of the reasons why a lot of people that are dealing with narcissists in their life, they are afraid to push back at narcissists, because there's always some kind of a retaliation, some kind of a pushback. You either get smeared, your name gets smeared, you get triangulated, you get cast out. There's a whole lot of horrible things that get to happen to you. They change, system. They change value systems. All right. So what has happened over the past few hundred years, just 200 years, in fact, as far as we can see, even this whole thing of Christianity, the Christian religion, and all the religions that have to do with moral, ethical values and things like that, you can see, the way I see it is that how they, because these people don't create anything. The narcissistic system doesn't create anything. Narcissists don't create anything. What they do is they find things as they are and they distort them. So what I see and how I see it is that there were a whole lot of documents. Definitely there were a whole lot of written records with regards to connecting to higher forces, connecting to our higher selves, higher energies, to source creator, and all of that. And they took all of those things and all of those records, and they repackaged them in such a way that they basically watered the whole thing down to a point whereby somehow it's still, there are still elements of truth in that, but they are so watered down that when you connect with them and when you are engaging with this kind of information, for example, the text, the sacred text that they have given to us, because we know it's them that have given us the sacred text, isn't it? When we engage with them, the sacred text, it's like there's a part of us that is still able to connect. You are still able to resonate with that highest order of life, of reality, of truth. You know, you are able to connect with that. But even then, still, you're not getting the full substance of what you are supposed to be receiving. You understand? So that's what they've done. They've watered things down to an extent whereby we only receiving, literally, probably we're only getting 1% of what we are really supposed to be getting. Because when it comes to connecting to the highest order, let's face it, the buildings themselves were meant to help us in that. You understand? That's what they were created for. That's what they were designed for. The nature of the world, the cities, the design of everything that existed in this previous dispensation that was destroyed was meant to keep us in a high vibrational frequency, to keep us where we were meant to be. And they stripped it all away, and they gave us just a few books, some little books. And all of these religions, as far as I can see, they are actually one thing, majority of them. And it was not really supposed to be religions. It was just supposed to be something else, codes in which we were supposed to be able to connect with our true nature and with our true creator. And somewhere, somehow, and narcissists will do that, divide and conquer. They literally divided everything and made sure that we only get small itty bitty bits and pieces of all of that. And now, with that being the case, if you're only getting 1%, of course, you're not going to get the best out of the religion. That's why it's not transforming your life. That's why, there are so many religions in the world, but the world hasn't gotten any better. The world has only decayed even further. Why is that the case? It's because we're not really getting the truth, the gist of what the food, the soul spiritual food that we are really supposed to be getting. We're not getting the whole meal. We are malnourished spiritually. So, of course, we're going to fall apart. Of course, we're going to just do crazy things. And of course, the frequency is going to be one that is very conducive to narcissists. That's why it was easy for them to even, take over religious institutions and, do harm on children, do harm on people, and just create havoc all over the world in the name of God, in the name of religion, in the name of love, in the name of truth, in the name of whatever. They have done all of these things because it's easier. And then it became even more easier for people to then curse true God creator, curse the truth of who they are, curse spirituality, because they will curse religion. But if you look at it, what is happening here is that people are really cursing spirituality. They're cursing. That's why people have now become, agnostic and atheistic and all of those things that have to do with, what? I want nothing to do with spirituality. Nothing to do with spirituality, because why would I want anything to do with spirituality if people will be so broken and be spiritual at the same time? And that was the intention of the narcissistic dark matrix. That was the whole intention, to give us a distorted perverted version of spirituality, of a way in which we can connect to the higher order. Give us a distorted version of that, just so that it can fail us. So we were being set up to fail, so that then we can curse ourselves, curse spirituality, and then, be easy prey for narcissists. And then narcissists can easily thrive nicely in the world because, there's no, threatening vibrational frequency here, isn't it? There are no bells, sounding anywhere. There are no gongs. There's nothing. There's nothing that is, threatening the narcissist's existence in this realm. There's absolutely the buildings that held the right kind of frequencies, the what do you call these things? The organs, that were there, that were meant to be, healing and lifting the vibrational frequency of the planet, the ley lines, everything has been distorted and perverted. Buildings have been bent down. So nothing is making life difficult for narcissists. Because, I was just thinking about it yesterday that, there's actually, there was a time when narcissists were, because there's a thing about narcissists that is very just, yeah, strange. There was a time when narcissists were much more withdrawn and much more mild than they are now. They have become very brazen now because the environment has made it possible for them to do that. The environment has become very conducive for them. But there was a time when they were actually held back, almost as if they were restricted by an unknown and an invisible force. You understand? And when I look back, I'm realizing, oh, there were certain things that were still in place that were still holding a certain vibrational frequency that have been completely removed now. And some of them were still part of religion. Even religion itself has a little bit of a high vibrational frequency here and there, but not entirely, just a very, very small amount of it. Now, if because we have removed even religion out of schools and out of society, the narcissistic stream of consciousness is thriving even more freely. You understand? It's not that it was a big hurdle for the narcissistic stream of consciousness, but now it's even worse. Okay. But they will definitely change value systems. So that's why right now, good is evil. I don't know if you've noticed in this world right now, good is evil, bad is good. Everything is upside down now. Aggressive, hostile, evil people are promoted. Selfish people are the ones that thrive. Manipulative people, cold, callous people are the ones that are considered to be intelligent now in this world. You understand? The more hostile you are, the more violent you are, the more, people respect you more. People don't care anymore about how you make your money. As long as you are making the money, that's good enough for them. Morality out the window, ethical values out the window. I'm not saying people should be perfect or anything like that, but I'm sure you get my point. You understand? All of these things that make humanity, they've all gone out the window. Nowadays, the kinder you are, the more stupid you are considered to be. Value systems have completely changed. So let's look at so they will also change perceptions and conduct, definitely. They will definitely change they will change everything. Everything. They'll tell you the earth is flat, the earth is round. They'll tell you we have landed on the moon. you know that's the narcissistic matrix. Okay, and that's precisely how narcissists operate. Narcissist will tell you something that is blue. They'll tell you, no, it's not blue, it's gray. Okay, and then they will expect you to believe it. All right, and then they will be laughing behind your back because narcissists are I don't know how to describe them. They are very interesting creatures because they derive so much pleasure from being able to deceive and fool people. It's like, yeah, no, they are definitely not the same stream of consciousness as real human beings. Definitely not. Number four. So what do narcissists do that the narcissistic matrix does? They create dependency. And this is what the narcissistic matrix does as well. Create dependency. Okay. So going back once again to that situation, no, we are modernizing things. You don't need to have your own little garden. Get rid of these big yards, get rid of these big spaces. just have a small little space, and then you'll buy everything from the store, from the shops. And we bought into that. Subsistence is bad for you. Things that are coming from the shops. And to be honest, because of the love bombing, I beg your pardon, because of the love bombing, we thought we really like the fruits were bigger, the apples were bigger than they are now, and they smelled nicer, they smelled fresher. There was something about them that was enticing. To be honest, the things that were coming from the shops, initially they were nice and shiny, they were really sparkly, they were very, very enticing, they were very attractive. You understand? And so we fell for that. Subsistence is bad for you. We look at the pumpkin that comes from home and the pumpkin that comes from the store. The one that came from the store, somehow they had found a way to make it look very, very good. Nowadays, because people don't have their own little gardens anymore, now the pumpkins look really terrible and they don't care. You understand? Natural health is bad for you. Okay. Natural health is bad for you. You need to depend on our chemicals, the ones that we are giving you, because we want you to depend on us. We don't want you to be busy trying to create your own natural health there. We want you to, and you must always listen to the experts, and we are the experts, okay? We are the experts. Listen to us. Natural or free anything, that's bad for you. That's very, very bad for you. You must always pay attention and, only focus on what we give you. And what we give to you, will always charge you exorbitant prices for. Okay. And if we don't charge you exorbitant prices for it, there's going to be some kind of a price that you're going to have to pay in some shape or form. All right. Everything has to be bought. You need a job. You need a job to be able to buy things, because, to buy things, you need money. You understand? So basically, we don't want you to be independent. We don't want you to have your own way of existence whereby you cannot depend on us. We need you to be within the system. All right. We need you to be captured. We need you to be our little slave, so that you are not able to exist on your own. Everything that is going to enable you to survive, we need it to be coming from us. Okay, because we are the narcissistic dark matrix, and we want you to depend on us. We don't want you to be independent. No narcissist will ever want you to be independent. The narcissist will always want you to be dependent on them. Okay, they will always make sure that that's what happens, which brings us to number 5: abuse. Abuse. All these wars, these never ending wars where children are suffering, children are having to witness traumas that no human being should witness, should experience those kind of traumas that no human being should have to experience. People being subject to abject poverty, people suffering unnecessarily so, all because of what? Inflation. Inflation. But this is what the narcissistic matrix does. Okay, this is what the matrix does. This is how it operates. Okay, remember the initial promise when this love story started? It was all, we're going to make things better. We are modernizing. We are coming out of darkness, and we are moving into a technologically advanced era. What has that technologically advanced era brought to us? What has it done for humanity? Only brought humanity into more slavery, into more heartache, into more pain and suffering. There's one thing about a narcissist. Whatever the narcissist finds working, they're going to destroy it. They do not want to build anything. They do not want anything, especially if it has nothing to do with them. And even the things that have to do with them, majority of the time, they prefer not to build those things. They would rather find things ready-made and standing and then occupy them. A narcissist will watch you suffer, build your own things, and then kill you and take over your things. That's what a narcissist will do. And this is what the narcissists have done to the previous civilization. All right. So they will definitely make sure that whatever it is that they find, even, they will destroy it, because they are destructive in nature. The narcissistic force is destructive. It does not like beauty. And any form of beauty that it likes, it's at a very superficial, shallow level. It is never any substantial form of beauty that is connected to a high vibrational frequency, especially from a spiritual perspective. Well, high vibrational frequencies are always spiritual, but you get my point. So if it's limping, the narcissist will break it, will make sure that it's even broken so that it does not walk at all. Okay. And then if it's fine and intact, narcissist will break it down. They will break it down. The narcissist, this is what they've done to the old world. They have stripped those buildings of everything. And they've left those buildings as hollow, emptied out shells, still very beautiful, still very majestic and magnificent, but shells nonetheless of their former glory. That's what narcissists do. Anything that is high vibrational frequency in nature, the narcissist will destroy it. Or at least they will have to water it down or distort it in some shape or form. Number 6, they will gaslight you. All right? They will definitely gaslight you. These are our leaders now, the representatives of the narcissistic dark matrix. Then they will say, suffering. What suffering? What suffering are you talking about? As if they don't see that humanity is really suffering right now. Your Billy Gators. They'll be saying, I'm doing so much to help the world. And then what's suffering? What are you talking about? Because, we are doing all these wonderful things to save the world. And then people will start explaining that, but we are talking about this and this and this and that. This is what we are suffering about. Like, for example, here in our country, we are suffering because we've got porous borders and crime has, quadrupled in our country. And no one gets to be held responsible because, the people that are committing crime, majority of them are untraceable. They are not on the system. So we are complaining because the crime is not the only thing that is happening. There's a whole lot of horrible things that are happening as a result of this, open borders that we are dealing with. And our own president, which is pretty much the response that most of this president, because it's not just, it's not only here in South Africa that we are experiencing a narcissistic leadership, but all over Africa, all over the world, countries are experiencing narcissistic leadership. All over Africa, that's what people are dealing with. Narcissists who keep saying, suffering. What suffering? Just today there was a video about Nigeria and children dying at birth because of malnutrition. And yet the president is enjoying himself and living large in Italy. They keep saying, oh, the West is evil, the West is evil. They live in the West. They invest in the West. They enjoy the West. But they keep blaming the West and saying, no, the reason why Africa is suffering is because of the West. But they live in the West. They put their money in the West. Their children go to school in the West. And then when it comes to their people, they keep saying, suffering. What suffering? Oh, that's suffering. Children are dying. Oh, that's suffering. But why are you suffering? Why are your children? This is your leader is busy asking you all over the world. This is how narcissists operate. Completely oblivious to your suffering. They don't get it. It's like, I don't understand. Why are you so angry? I don't get it. Why are you busy dying? They just don't get it. It doesn't make any sense to them. How is it possible that you are suffering? And then the angrier you become, because of course you'll get angry when you get that kind of a response from someone who's supposed to really know what's going on. Then you hear them saying things like, you have no right to be angry. You have no right to be angry at me because I'm your leader. Okay? You have no respect. You're supposed to respect me. I'm your leader. They want respect. They want all of these things that they have not earned. People are not asking for too much from their leaders. But because you are dealing with a narcissistic matrix and with just literally tools of the narcissistic dark matrix, We are finding ourselves in situation where even the bare minimum is too hard for them to provide because they are sadists. We are dealing with sadistic, demonic entities, demonic people. I was just listening to Advocate Ike just now saying, if our president here in this country, in South Africa, if that man were to pass away, the devil would take a day off just to mourn his soldier, because definitely the devil considers our president to be his soldier. And I'm sure the devil considers many of the leaders of all these countries to be his soldiers. Because there's no way that these people can have consciences and allow people to go through the level of suffering that they are subjecting them to. Once again, as I said, people are not asking for too much. People are really asking for the bare minimum. Create a safe and conducive environment for people to be able to create things for themselves. Create a conducive enough environment for people to be able to create their own opportunities and to thrive. That's all. But even that, these people are literally depriving humanity of that. And yet the initial promise was, you know, we are modernizing. We are going to make things better. We are going to make things better. We are going to make life so much better for you. But all that they have delivered are horror stories, nightmare. And then when people, find themselves really frustrated and arguing against what they are seeing, voicing out their frustration about what they are experiencing, instead of these narcissistic demons taking accountability and responsibility for what they are doing, what they do instead is they literally refuse. They gaslight. They don't get it. It's like, I don't understand, why are you angry at me? I don't get it. You are supposed to be grateful because I'm your leader. I saved you from colonization. That's their story. It's like that's where it ends. All they needed to do was save us from colonization, and that's that. They never had to do anything else beyond that. So this is what they are sadistic. They are evil, evil to the core. They hate humanity. You know, as I said, there's no way that as a normal human being you could witness your people, your own country suffering the way these African countries and even the rest of the world in general. The way people are suffering, there's no way that you could witness people suffering the way that they're suffering and be okay with it and be able to sleep at night. You have to be dead in some part of your being. You understand? So for me, the way I see it, these people enjoy it. Okay. They enjoy looking at people suffering. Every time there's a report about how their people are suffering, I'm looking at the leaders of all these African countries and I'm thinking, what are these people thinking every time they hear that, people in South Africa are busy chasing them away? People in South Africa are busy chasing their people away. How do they feel about it? Do they have no shame? Do they have no compassion, no empathy for their own people? Their own citizens have to literally become leeches in other countries in order to survive. What kind of a leader is that? That is just demonic. That's not even. We have moved beyond the level or the realm of incompetency. We are now dealing with literal demonology. We are dealing with hardcore devils in human form. Because you can't be enjoying a nice entourage, a nice, motorcade, nice, very expensive clothes, living the soft life and enjoying yourself whilst other people are suffering and they are dependent on you making the kind of decisions that will eradicate their suffering and their poverty. And you are okay and you are doing nothing about it. You have to be, you have to be a narcissist, definitely a psychopath, sociopath, something along those lines. But you are definitely a representative of the matrix. You are not a human being. You are the devil. Finally, number 7, what narcissists do is that they punish. Narcissists punish. Okay. Here in South Africa, I always say that what we are witnessing happening now, because it's like ever since our government ANC got 40% and it was forced into this government of unity, it's almost as if things have gotten 100 times worse. It's like the looting, everything has gotten 100 times worse. It was worse before, but it's even worse now. And the way I see it, it's this demonic people are literally trying to punish um, South Africans. They're trying to punish the citizens for not voting for them, because a narcissist will do that. If you try to break up with the narcissist will plead with you to take them back. And then you take them back. The narcissist is only asking you to take them back because they know that they want to punish you for leaving them. So it's not because they want you back or they really care about you, because they have no heart in the first place to be able to care about you. So the reason why they're asking you, no, please take me back, let's fix things. They will apologize, they will promise you that they will change, they will love bomb you again. But as soon as you take them back again, then they will very quickly show you their true colors. And this time around, they will punish you 10 times more than they did the first time around. And the reason for that is, how dare you leave me? How dare you try to leave me? Don't you understand that you're not supposed to leave me? I'm the one that's supposed to discard you, not the other way around. Okay. You never leave me. Because the reason why I break you down is so that you don't have the ability to be able to exist outside of me. That's why I'm breaking you down. So how dare you try to assert your independence outside of me? So this is what our government is doing now, is saying, how dare we try to vote for another party? How dare we try to vote them out of power? They will show us, for as long as they're still in power, they're going to clean up this country, as in financially. They're going to take all the money that exists in this country, and where they are not able to take the money, they're going to let everyone, every illegal immigrant from every part of the world, they're going to let them come in and steal and take and destroy as much as they can take and run away. They don't care. Guess where they're going to go? They're going to go to the West. If this country falls apart, they will go to the West. Okay, the very same place where they say the West, we need to set ourselves free from the West. The West is so evil. They're going to go to the West. That's where their monies are. That's where they prefer to be. Okay, they don't care about us. They do not care, and all they're doing right now is unleashing punishment, and that's what narcissists do. They will punish you if you are a truth teller, if you are a whistleblower, if you are someone that threatens or intimidate the narcissist in any shape or form, they will definitely punish you. And how do they punish you? Once again, they punish you through ostracize, firstly triangulation. So what is our government doing now? And these are the mostly the governments of the world, because I've seen with this whole immigration problem in UK and in other parts of Europe as well. What is happening is that the government is triangulating the citizens with illegal foreigners. Okay, can you imagine? Your parents take in some other child from the streets, and then this child, they say, okay, this child will take your bed, you go and sleep on the floor. This child will take your dish, they'll get your food, you get nothing. Okay, this child will get your clothes, everything, you will get nothing. But this is your home. These are your parents. This is precisely how our governments are treating the citizens. This is precisely what narcissists do. That's why people will tell you narcissists will rather please, strangers, would rather impress strangers than take care of their own families. Okay, this is what's going on here. So our government is taking care of strangers, people who are not paying tax. The worst part, even with a child, it's like, it's still horrible. It's still wrong. But here's the thing, with citizens are paying tax. So it's like the government is taking the money from the citizens, and this government is taxing citizens a lot of money. Income tax is very, very high in this country. And the very same income tax is being used to take care of other people from other parts of the world who are here illegally. The very same people who are connected to water and electricity illegally. And that's the reason why we are having to pay high amounts of water and electricity, because the system is overburdened by being used by people who are not paying. So if there are people who are not paying, that means those that are paying, they are going to have to pay double, because they have to pay for those that are not paying also. So the citizens of the country are being punished for literally refusing to accept the corruption that exists within our government. That's literally what's going on here. So, as I said, if you're a whistleblower, if you're a truth teller, you are punished. Okay, you are punished because narcissists do not want anything that has to do with the truth. They do not want anything that has to do with, you know, being exposed. All right. So they triangulate you with other people. They will always have some other person that they're dangling in front of you to say, you see, I get along with this person, but I don't get along with you. So you are the problem. All right. So that's what narcissists will do. They will also ostracize you. Okay. So they will make sure that, they create a whole, because, for narcissists, once again, numbers are the most important thing. Okay, so they will focus making sure that they've got all this. Hence we are dealing with a mass migration. Okay, so they are not opening the borders for one or two people. They're opening the borders for millions of people. All right, so we are literally being ostracized as the citizens, pushed aside whenever it is that citizens retaliate against the things that people are doing here. Our very own citizens are, their buildings, their homes, their houses, properties have been hijacked, and when they try to um, get back their properties from this illegal foreign nationals, then police get called upon the citizens, you understand? So, which means the voice of the citizens is not heard. What is that? It's, ostracization. The citizens are, pushed to the side. Citizens have been kicked out of their own towns, their own suburbs, their own cities. Citizens have been pushed out, pushed to the side. Even in the corporate spaces, citizens have been pushed out of their own township economies. You know, citizens have been pushed out of working spaces. They've been pushed out of everywhere. That is a narcissist system. That's just how it works. All right. And perhaps this is at a country level. And I'm sure it also applies even in a grander scale because, the narcissistic energy operates the same way. But the citizens of the country are ostracized. It's like our government has this beautiful fake love relationship with these people that are here in this country, and majority of them are committing crimes. They are breaking the law. They are doing horrible things. All right. And, good people in a narcissistic system, of course, are systematically blackballed because, only the most treacherous thrive in the matrix. The matrix operates in such a way. That's why, these people that are very pretty much criminal syndicates, many of them, they're able to thrive in this country because many people will tell you this is a mafia state. You understand? So it's easier for them to thrive here because they've understood that all they need to do is come here and operate like mafias. Many of them operate like mafias. That's why it's easy for them to drive out citizens from towns, from cities, from buildings, from rural areas, from wherever. Wherever it is that they go, they know how to drive people out of places and out of things. You understand? Because they understand how the system of this country operates, which is very, very toxic. Okay, only the most treacherous, the most manipulative, the most aggressive, the most evil thrive in a narcissistic matrix. So yeah. Uh, I previously mentioned that they do dispatch police, on law abiding citizens. They will definitely shoot rubber bullets on law abiding citizens, whereas criminals get to roam free. Just before I did this recording, I was just watching one video where right next to a police station, you've got an illegal foreigner that is running a restaurant, and she's got illegal electricity connection. And guess who are her customers? The police that are right next door to her. Okay, she's not paying water and electricity. She's not allowed legally to run a business in the country because she is a foreigner, and you don't run a business in a foreign country. And another thing, she is illegal here. So she's not supposed to be here. So the first thing that the police are supposed to do when they see such kind of a person is to deport them according to the law. But because we are in a mafia state, in a toxic narcissistic system that deliberately ensures that people who are supposed to carry out the law don't even know the very same law that they are supposed to carry out, they are allowing this person to just operate there. And they are not even bothered by the fact that this person is not paying electricity. They are buying, they are supporting this person. The very same person who's not paying tax, she is not on the system. Every single money, every single cent that goes into that business is going back to the country where she comes from. Here in this country, we are getting nothing from that. And these police are okay with it. All right, so, but this is the punishment that the narcissistic dark matrix dishes out. It punishes people who are undeserving, and it rewards people who should be punished. All right, so that's what it is. And I'm always grateful, even though all of this can sound very gruesome and very pessimistic. But I'm always grateful because over and above everything, there is true God creator. And yeah, lies, there's something about lies, there's something about falsehood, there's something about illusion that can never ever hold itself, its own weight. Sooner or later, it always ends up collapsing and imploding. So, despite how difficult, how hard, how horrible all of this may seem at the moment, I know for a fact that one way or the other, we're going to break free. One way or the other, we're going to, find our true self, our true selves. We're going to overcome this darkness. The light will always win. The light will always overcome. The truth will always win. It will always come out on top. It doesn't matter how long. It may feel like it's been happening for a long time, but it's only been just, under 300 years. I don't think it's been more than 300 years. Probably we are at 200, maybe 220 something or 250 or somewhere there, around there. But it hasn't been that long, okay? And I don't expect that this whole thing will continue for another 300 years. I really believe the way I see it, I'm not expecting that another 50 years will pass whilst we are still dealing with all this nonsense that we are dealing with. All right. The mere fact that we are able to talk about narcissism now and we are able to be able, to discuss it and to expose it the way that we are able to do so now, that means that it has come to its end. All right. Its power has waned, and sooner or later, it's just going to crumble. That's where it is. The truth will always prevail. Thank you so much for spending time with me on this transmission. Until next time, goodbye.